Hi Metalheads, willkommen zu Metalheads, schon Nummer 912 am 22.04.2025. Schön, dass ihr dabei seid zur der ersten von 2 Shows dieser Woche. Es war ein bisschen eine kürzere Woche, denn ich habe den Montag mal blau gemacht. Ich habe ganz ehrlich gesagt, wenn ich ehrlich bin, fast das ganze Wochenende geschlafen. Ich habe irgendwie so viel Schlaf nachgeholt, das war so wichtig gewesen. Und ich hoffe, ihr hattet alle ein geiles Wochenende, ihr wart auf Konzerten, habt gefeiert, habt gute Eier gefunden, gesucht. Ja, liebe Freunde, heute haben wir gleich 2 geile Bands wieder. Einer aus USA, ein wiederkehrender Täter, nämlich Björn England von Soul Sign. Der hat eine geile Geschichte wieder und wieder einen geilen Soundtrack. Geiles neues Album, Desert Fire, das werde ich heute vorstellen. Und danach, liebe Freunde, habe ich Gäste aus England, und zwar Circle of Origin mit einer geilen EP. Also bleibt dran nach dem Björn England Interview. Es geht gleich weiter nach mit geilen Sound. Es gibt jetzt mal eine Band, die sind noch nie gespielt worden, und zwar im gleichen Label, wo Björn England ist. Und zwar, oder soll sein, und zwar Severed Angel, a Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Ich würde sagen, let the madness begin.
The Metalheads Forever Rockcast show is proud to present heavy metal from USA. Soul Sign. And in the double feature interview, heavy metal from South Yorkshire, England. Circle of Origin. Don't miss the interviews with this fantastic bands. The Metalheads Forever Rockcast show salutes you.
Das war ein Severed Angel, sehr cool. A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Das ist fast zu Ostern, ne? Mit dem Lämmchen. So, liebe Freunde, erstmal Musik. Und zwar hier ist Soul Sign und Clean Soil. Und danach gleich im Interview Björn Englen. Bleibt dran. Viel Spaß. Und jetzt Action. And now welcome back once again after 3 years from Los Angeles, California, my good buddy Björn Englen. Yeah, here we go.
How are you doing? Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Are you still awake? Because you have a coffee, because it's one something in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm a night owl, but I do drink coffee, but I'm up very late normally. So this is a good hour for me. It's a golden hour for me. I do most of my work late at night, so it's I'm definitely alive and awake and ready to rock, so to speak.
Before we start, congratulations to this killer album called Desert Fire. What a killer. And we will listen to some tracks of the album, of course, a little bit some older stuff, a little bit live, everything. And I always want to know, what is the history of Björn Englen? When I look at the list, Soul Sign, of course, still the same band since 3 years ago. Then DIO Disciples, I saw you in Dokken performing, right? Then Yngwie Malmsteen, Quiet Riot, MSG, Survivor singer Robbie McAuley, the Scorpions, Uli Jon Roth, Tony McAlpine, and on and on. So you're busy, my friend. And so, but my question is, before everything, what was first? Was instrument first? Was the music first? I I guess we are in the same age. I am 60. I don't know how
Oh,
old you.
I'm 53, so right behind
So
you.
you, so you
Yeah,
could be my son. So all right, but you know, these 7 years is a big different from the
yeah.
70s to the 80s. You know, so I guess you grew up more in the 80s sound.
I grew up in the 80s, and back then, no one, including myself, thought that anybody was going to be on stage rocking out at after age 40, So times have changed, which, lucky me, because, I'm no spring chicken anymore, um but yeah, I grew up in the 80s, and grew up with a lot of, I think, like a lot of people my age, Kiss was probably the first band that got me into rock and roll. In the early 80s, I played a lot of sports, and I listened to a lot of top 40 music. And then by the 83, 84, um, I got heavily into hard rock and heavy metal and Judas Priest and AC/DC, and then came the White Snake and the Deep Purple and all that stuff.
Yes, all the good
And
stuff.
all the good stuff came pouring in, and by 1984, I had decided, I'm going to play bass. All my friends played either drums or guitar. My friends in the neighborhood, or my close friends that I hung out with. And I was wondering, like, why doesn't anybody pick bass? I couldn't understand why. And I went across the street to see my good friend that I grew up with, who's 3 years older than me, and he had a punk band, and they were rehearsing in the garage. And I sat there and watched him, and I watched the bass player, and I couldn't believe how big the instrument was and how big the strings were. And I was just fascinated, and I kept watching his fingers and going, it's how does he make it sound so big? And then when I realized he only pushed one note at a time, I just thought it was the most mysterious, coolest instrument. And I would go to the local music store, and I would look at the bass guitars, and I would grab them off the wall, and look at them and play them. And I still remember the smell of the brand new bass guitars in the music store. And I think it was like a manifestation already.
Yeah.
I just kind of
I
knew.
had a big. I'm more vocalist driven. You know, I'm a singer by myself, but I had the same experience when I saw the very first time Rudy Sarzo with Quiet Riot.
Yeah,
When I saw him, I said, wow, this was in '83. You know, and so man, this guy, it's
yeah,
like he made bass sexy. You know, like the way
yeah,
how he banged and he hit the bass or something. Wow, this is so cool,
yeah,
and I couldn't believe that years later I interviewed this guy, you know, and great guy, and he
yeah.
reminds me a little bit about you. When I saw you on stage, this the old school bass players know how to move. This is
Yeah. Well, and I think obviously he grew up. He's older than me, and he grew up with bass players that played a lot. In the 60s and the 70s, the bass players moved around the neck a lot and played a lot of notes.
Yes,
And
I
I
always
did,
say the same that the
yeah,
70s was the decade of the bass players and drummers like Bonham
yeah.
or Roger Glover and all the greats, you know, Uriah Heep, they're all
Mm.
great bass players. The 80s, this was the decade of the shredders, Eddie Van Halen, blast, you know.
The 80s was the decade of the bass guitar stagnating, because it was more all focused on the guitar heroes, which it came out of
Tony
Eddie Van.
McAlpine, for example.
Yeah, but it all started with Eddie Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix, and then of course Yngwie Malmsteen and Tony McAlpine and all these people that followed. And and a lot of the bands, whether it was Winger or Whitesnake or any of those bands, had shred guitar players. So
Yeah.
most of it was about that, and the bass got overshadowed, and people stopped playing moving bass lines for whatever reason. I don't know. I think that. Well, I have two theories that bands like Judas Priest and AC/DC did just that. They kept the bass very simple, but it worked for them. It
Yeah,
worked
this
for
is
them.
always Cliff Williams or Ian Hill. That's the groover. This is the groove to the beat.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question, because I never had a chance to talk to somebody who works with Yngwie Malmsteen. Is it hard to work with this guy, because he's so demanding on the guitar? He needs space. He's all over the place with his fiddling, and which is too much for me, to be honest. I was never Malmsteen, because it's too much fiddling, you know. And if I compare, for example, to Matthias Japs from Scorpions, you know, this is for me great melodies and great solos, for example. But was it hard to work with him?
Well, no. I mean, the quick answer is no. Is the music demanding? Yes, of course. Musically, I was very familiar with his music growing up, and I always liked his playing, and I liked his songs. You know, he had good songs as well. He had a very good band. Always had great bass players, great drummers, great singers.
Don't forget the keyboarders.
Amazing keyboard player. Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
I did shows with Mats Olausen. He passed away, unfortunately, in Phuket.
Yeah.
We had an Ozzy Osbourne tribute band, and he was for 8 shows my keyboard player, and he was amazing. He was amazing. Even he was
incredible.
drunk. He was incredible. This was the best keyboard player I ever worked with. But unfortunately, he was so hooked on alk. You know, he died because of this. You know? Very, very sad ending.
Yeah, it is very sad. He was phenomenal, and Jens, which was the first.
You met him?
I met Mats very briefly, and I met Jens very briefly. But I don't know, or didn't know them personally at all. But they you know, Jens was very phenomenal, and I think so was Mats. You know, and I think Yngwie got a little spoiled with having them as keyboard players, because they could play anything. So he has very high expectations of the keyboard players. Well, of everybody in the band, he had very high expectations. For me, musically, he was. I knew what he liked, and I knew what he wanted, and I was so familiar with his music and his playing, and I had friends who had worked with him before, so it was. I kind of came into it knowing what to expect and how to behave, and all that stuff. It was not a band in a sense. It's his thing, so you just accept that, you know, or it's not going to work. You can't be challenging him or do it your own way. But at the same token, I played a lot of the fills and a lot of things. I did my own fills. He almost never dictated or told me how to play, although I did play the songs, like the recordings and stuff. But he was very rarely, very few times did he correct me or told me how to play, and which was obviously a compliment, because he liked the way I played, and it worked, you know. And so it was
I
a
met
really
him.
good
I met
experience for me.
him in the early '90s, and I must say I was disappointed, because he was very arrogant. This was, sorry to say, this was from all I met in my life, the most arrogant guy backstage.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. You know, the years I worked with him, he was sober, and maybe that helped. I don't know. Um I got along great with him, you know, and never had any problems or any issues, and it was just great memories for me. So
we talked about Yngwie, Quiet Riot. When you joined Quiet Riot?
1995. Well, I auditioned for them in 1994, and I did some pre-production for their upcoming album, Down to the Bone, and we did some promotional things, some interviews and some photos and things like that. And then they recorded the album with a different bass player, with the Chuck Wright, who had worked with them a lot in the past. So I was understanding, and then I said, that's fine. And they said, well, we want you to tour with us. So just, a couple of months later, they called me back up, and we did more promotion and more pictures and
So
what
lineup was this? Frankie, of course, was the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Kevin?
Frankie, Kevin, and Carlos. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So this was actually the Metal Health without Rudy.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So it was, and then I just did a US tour with him, and that was it. So that was in 1995.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And still the guys still rocking, with TC Pearl on the vocal. I hope I have a chance to talk to this guy, because I like the way how he talks. He has this podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know this? Where telling stories from the 80s.
I've never listened to his podcast, but yeah.
No, check it out. It's cool. It's cool because he's sitting mostly in a car and talking about, and in a very entertaining way, it's cool how he explained how it was the debauchery in the 80s, and why he's still alive, why he's still rocking and make money, The most people don't make money anymore, but they're still they're doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Tom Kelly, for example, the drummer, he was already my guest.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Right on, yeah.
I would say we play now music first, and then we can go back to the like Robbie McAuley or Uli Jon Roth, Tony McAlpine later on, a little bit between. Let's play music. Negative Thoughts. It's not a real video, but you get the picture. It's cool. Here is Negative Thoughts.
Nothing left of me when all of this
negative thoughts. So, my friend, give me a short explanation. What is all about the song?
This lyrically, it's basically about, getting the negative thoughts out of your head and trying to stay positive, be optimistic. And it's so easy to get into a depressive state or depression. And the song is about defeating your negative thoughts and pull yourself out of, sort of a depressive state, which I think most people can relate to. So yeah, that's basically it. And the music was just me jamming with Mike, the drummer, and as we just started jamming, and I pressed record on the phone and we recorded, and the song basically kind of wrote itself. It wasn't anything planned. We went from one section to another, and boom, that was pretty much it. The writing was pretty spontaneous, and that's usually how we or I write the music. Is usually just it's like you open that fountain and then let it out.
The first song today, and this is the last song, also we talk later, Clean Soil, for example. I love this song because it's kind of simple, old school, but have something special inside. And the special in the song is this melody from the guitar. Da, 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 da. This is excellent. I love this melody line in the song, but we talk about it later.
Okay.
This was Negative Thoughts. When you grew up you grew up where? In which country you grew up? Sweden. So yeah. I guess the early Scorpions was also on your radar, right?
Absolutely.
Like in trance.
In fact, the funny thing was, my first girlfriend growing up, we met. She came to borrow what is it called? Worldwide Live double LP by the Scorpions. She borrowed it. She came to borrow it from me. She didn't realize I had borrowed it from a friend. So it was like, then she borrowed it from me, but that was okay. But I think it was an excuse for us to hang out. And then, we started dating. We were going to school together, but she was a massive Scorpions fan, and out of all the people, out of all my friends, she's the one who turned me on to the early Scorpions as well. So
where I'm going. You know why I mentioned the early Scorpions, right?
Yes, yeah, I kind of figured. Yeah.
Yes, because
Uli Jon Roth. Yeah.
Uli Jon Roth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I confess, I was of course already a Scorpions fan in the late 70s. So because it was before Matthias Japs, but I really loved the Scorpions with Matthias Japs. It was great. I was He's a Woman, She's a Man, or Steamrock Fever in trance. Yeah. Great songs. Nothing. And my first album from Scorpions was actually Tokyo Tapes.
Oh wow! And okay, good one.
Yes,
good
this yeah, excellent. Maybe one of the best live album ever.
Yeah,
and
really good.
So how this happens that you got involved with Uli Jon Roth?
Well, as we say, one thing leads to another. It was actually, let me think. Well, this is how it happened. I don't think I had met Uli yet. I was playing my very first show with Yngwie, which was no rehearsal, nothing. So the night before we played, Uli came to have dinner with us with Yngwie and me and the band, and because Yngwie and Uli were friends, and Uli asked Yngwie, "Are you not worried? Like, this guy doesn't, you never rehearsed." And Yngwie's like, "No, he wasn't worried. I mean, the drummer in the band had already recommended me, and he trusted his judgment, so he was like, no, it'll be fine."
Cool.
And so we play the show, and it's at the NAMM show at a big music convention in Anaheim, and there's a packed room and upstairs, and then there's a TV screens where there's like 1,000 people can see it outside and stuff like that. And then
Cool.
most of these people are all musicians, so I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to look at the audience. I'm just going to play, right? And on my side of the stage is Uli standing right there watching me, and he can hear every note I play because he's standing right next to my amp. And then after the show was over, he walked straight up to me and he goes, "That was incredible. Like, you didn't miss one note." And he goes, "Now you have to play with me too, because I don't like to rehearse either." He always
that
says
is a cool
funny
story.
things. He doesn't even try to be funny. He's just a natural comedian. But he wasn't trying to be funny. He was basically saying like,
He was
okay,
that serious.
he was dead serious. Yeah. So and it was one year at the NAMM show. We kept running into each other over the weekend, like I don't know how many times, and we were both laughing because it was very strange. And then he said, the following year, he said, I'm doing this NAMM jam. I'm playing a bunch of songs. It's, at one of I forget where it was, one of the venues. I think it was the Grove, actually, in Anaheim. And he said, you want to come and jam with me? And I said, sure. So I did one song, and he was very happy. So he said, next year, I'm coming to California. I'm going to do some shows, and I want you to play with
Isn't
me.
it crazy that you
Yeah.
grow up with the sound, and then you're
Yeah.
playing with the guy?
It's, in fact, I don't know if you've heard of the thing called a secret, but it's like they say, if you put a picture up on your wall or you keep looking at a picture, it manifests. So a lot of the artists that I ended up playing with, I had on my walls, like Quiet Riot, Dio, Macaulay Schenker Group. The album cover was on my wall. I had Yngwie's album covers on my wall.
Wow.
I ended up playing with so many without trying to get the gigs. It almost sort of was the law of attraction, as you call it. Very interesting how things just kind of fell into place that way without me chasing any of these gigs. But Uli Jon Roth was really always a joy playing with, because he likes to jam, and it suits me. I like that approach. He doesn't always keep everything the same. Keep it exciting. You jam a little
Reminds
bit.
me of
I like
Marco
that.
Mendoza is also this kind of player who
Yeah.
who can join you immediately. So no problem. I had the pleasure on my album. He's also plays one song, Marco Mendoza.
Okay.
Very-
Marco's a good friend of mine. I've known him for
I think he's everybody's
close to
friend.
30. Yeah, he is.
Is there anybody who don't like Marco Mendoza? I don't believe this. He's
a super nice guy and very
cool cat.
supportive. Very cool cat. Yeah. So yeah, Marco's always been very, very supportive.
So there is no competition between the bass players. Everybody is on his own rights. Already a legend somehow.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. We have a premiere, nearly a premiere, because it's very close. The next song, the newest song from Soul Sign is, you can introduce
Lost
Wake Ace, and we play now, and then you give me the story of this brand new song.
Okay.
It's Lost Wake Ace. This was Lost Wake Ace. Newest song, and I'm sure we have also a story for this.
Yes, the song, I wrote the music for it at 3 o'clock in the morning. It might have been 4 o'clock in the morning in Las Vegas. And the song is about Las Vegas, and that was the point I was trying to get to. But it was a spontaneous thing. I just wrote the music. I recorded it on my phone, and I put the song away. I put the music away, and then when it came time to make the record, I I decided, hey, the vibe is Las Vegas. I decided to write it about Las Vegas, and instead of calling it Las Vegas, I decided to call it Lost Vague Ace, and it's basically,
Cool.
Las Vegas is a kind of a place. It's different, right? So anybody who's been there, and you walk around in the middle of the night, and it's very, it could be very dark and lonely and kind of quiet late at night during the week, especially. And so that's basically what the lyrics are all about. It's the feeling of being there, and what the city is all about, and it's got these days much more to offer, as a city than just the Las Vegas Strip and the gambling and all that stuff. But it's you know could be
For
a
me,
very
as
good
a
place, but it could be a very cold place, so to speak, which the song is kind of about as well.
I think this is a place also with broken dreams and a lot of lost souls there. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
For me, it's always Las Vegas, because as for 50 years, a Elvis fans, since 75, a Elvis fan for me was Elvis in Las Vegas. The Hilton.
Oh yeah,
so cool. International first. Yeah,
sure.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
All right, this was Lost Wake Ace, I would say. Now we listen to a White Room cover. Watching you guys on stage. Here is Out of the Dark.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right. White Room
And
came about was basically uh, a label we were working with, um, and called Legendary Artists, were suggested that they said, well, we'd like to do something and with you, and we'd love for you to do a cover song and think of which one. And the one that came to mind immediately was White Room. Just the love of um for my love for the Cream, but Jack Bruce, when I think of an old song, and maybe subconsciously thought of the song too, because I subconsciously would like to do a modern take on that. It needs a bit of a what do you call it, pickup of the speed of the tempo on that pre-chorus section. That's, to me, is a little sleepy in the old version. It's great, but it worked back in 1969 or whenever they recorded it. But we decided we need to pick it up a bit, and so we did a little rearrangement really quick and cut out some parts and cut some sections in half, and the intro came about uh, late at night listening to sleep music, and um, I'd woke up in the middle of the night uh, with hearing Rob, the guitar player, playing guitar melodies over that. And I was like, I told him, you should use this for your guitar solo. I have an idea for you. Um, but then when I realized this could be a great idea as an intro and I woke up a second time and I heard us going straight into the White Room, and I'm like, this is perfect. But then I'm thinking, well, we don't have a keyboard player, so I need to play something on the bass, and that's how I came up with that intro. And I already knew that it would be perfect going straight into White Room from that intro, which we named Out of the Dark. And when I thought of that song, I was also thinking about everybody in the band. I thought their playing would suit wonderfully, from Rob's guitar and Mark's
yeah,
vocals
it's
and
very, very
Mike's
cool.
drums. Yeah.
When I checked out your stuff today and I put the show together and I listen to this, I go, wow, this must be in a show. It's cool. It's always I said I always said to my guests, you can kick out if you something don't like, but you say no, absolutely we do this. Okay, here we go. This was After Dark. What we do now, because we talk about the great album Desert Fire, and this is a present from me to you. I give you a medley, all chorus from the album in one little medley. And here is the medley for Desert Fire.
Some
This was the medley.
The medley is, I thank you, great, and I love short representations of songs, and the album. Everyone in the band, we're really proud of it, and I think it represents the band really well where we're at right now. And each song speaks for itself. It has its own little story and its own little sound, but they still fit together. You know, the tracks still fit together. So we had a lot of fun making it, and I think we're gonna have even more fun playing the songs live and hearing people's reactions to the different songs.
You got your reaction ready from me, so and I love it. I said, "Wow, that's a cool album." Yes, this is and I said this so many times in my show. After 900 shows, there's a lot of bands, and I always love to talk to the old school guys who are already doing this for 40 years plus, and the young bands, you know, who try to copy this stuff and bring their own vibe in. And what I hear in this album, it's, you know, these guys know what's all about, you know, feeling, soul. Soul Sign is already a great band name for this. So you put the soul in the music, and that is great vocals, great playing, great bass, drums, guitar. There is no filler, only killer. You know, it's a old stuff, but it's a great album. All right, my friend, what's going on in the life of Soul Sign? You have any tours, any shows?
We do have some shows at the end of May in California, and Northern California and Southern California, and we're just waiting for confirmation of the exact dates and venues at this moment. But that's the plan. So, from
any
there,
chance to come into Europe for the European fans?
Yes, next year. We'll look to do that, yeah. So hopefully do some festivals as well. So
before you tell me the story about Clean Soil, I need a picture for our Facebook friends. Are you ready for some science? And and 1, 2, 3.
Oh, let me see. Oh, that's
moment,
bad. Yeah. I'm backwards here in the trying to do the horns. Okay, I'll just leave the horns out then.
Okay. And I remember the last time you were like, all right. Björn England, the best. Björn, Clean Soil. Last thoughts before I let you go, and maybe it's time for you to go sleep.
Not yet, but that's okay. Clean Soil was another track that me and Mike, the drummer, just jammed and came up with very spontaneously. And we thought for sure this song needs to be on the record. And the song is about very much, mostly about America, I think, at this point, how our climate, our political climate, and it's been very divided and very a lot of tension in the last few years, and there's a lot of things to clean up, and there's the Clean Soil is basically wanting to live on American soil, but clean soil, without the lies and the corruption and all this stuff. So people can interpret the lyrics their own way, but it's kind of a political song, I would say.
Right. Yeah. Björn, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much. And
very welcome.
Once again, congratulations to Desert Fire. This is a fire, this album. I love it. And all the best to the rest of the gang. Keep rocking. Thank you very much. Stay healthy.
You too.
God bless.
Absolutely.
This was Björn England. Raise the horns, raise the cups and beers in the whiskeys. And cheers, my friend. Here is from Desert Fire, Soul Sign, and Clean Soil. I salute you, my friend.
Manipulation through media and school, making us feel like we drowned in their pool. In a land of the free, I don't want to be a prisoner of lies and control. I just want to live on clean soil, not where water of lies can boil. I just want to live on clean soil, nowhere Let's not allow them to
This is Metalheads Forever. I am Blaze Bailey, and I am telling you, this is probably the best heavy metal show in the world.
Ja, das war schon mal ganz geil gewesen mit Björn England. Immer wieder so eine coole Socke, was der schon alles erlebt hat. Einfach sensationell. Natürlich grüße ich alle draußen im Chat. Ich hoffe, ihr seid noch alle da und hattet alle ein gutes Wochenende. Das ist doch das Wichtigste überhaupt. So, liebe Freunde, jetzt gibt es jetzt mal Mucke, und zwar Circle of Origin aus England. Sind heute meine Gäste. Erstmal Musik, Heart-Shaped Lies, und danach begrüße ich die Jungs im Interview. Cheers!
we were
And now welcome all the way from England, Andy, Danny, and Rick from Circle of a Region. Here we go. Greetings,
Hey, guys.
everybody.
How you doing?
So I know you're a little bit sick, Danny. But
Yeah, I'm a bit
you
under
rock
the
the
weather,
baby.
but it's all good. It's all good.
all good? All right. Nice to see you. Nice to have you in the show, and a lot to talk. Great sound. When I heard the
thank
very
you very
first time the song, this guys I really want to have in the show. And here we are, Circle of a Region. We have always the same. I start the show. I want to know who is the metalhead, who is our guest, and I would say we start. We have two guitar players and a singer. I would say we start with the guitars first, with Andy, clockwise. Andy, give me your story. There must be a time in your life, maybe when you're a child, to be influenced by the father. This is the number one, actually, for 900 interviews. Mostly the fathers are responsible that we have a metalhead here. So, what was your first taste in music?
Well, I'm a lot younger than the others, so I grew up as it changed. Stop nodding, Danny. I grew up as the early 2000s, so I went to school during Bullet for My Valentine and Avenged Sevenfold when that were popular. So it became part of everything that I did. Really.
So are you the fresh influence now in the band to bring
I'm the oldest member probably of the band. How long I've been involved with it, but I'm the youngest actually in the band.
Okay. So what was your first taste in music?
Probably
Must be the
Guns N' Roses.
90s somewhere.
No, I went to 80s before the 90s, but Guns N' Roses, definitely.
Yes.
And then Motley Crue, and then the modern stuff. Then modern metal, Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, things like that.
So you figure out Motley Crue from the 80s or already the Motley Crue in the 2000s?
I heard the 80s albums first and then went with them in that way.
That's actually where it was the best.
Yeah, obviously.
So then can we say Mick Mars is kind of influence for you?
Mick Mars is brilliant. I prefer more Randy Rhoads, Vivian Campbell, that kind of thing. Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses. More that kind of basis rather than Mick Mars's solos, but that's what we've got Rick for.
This is actually the very first time in nearly 900 shows that Izzy Stradlin is named. Strange, huh? Yeah, Slash is always when it comes to Guns N' Roses, always Slash, but Izzy was
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. I think Izzy would be happy to hear this. Yeah, cool.
Give him my number.
Yeah. All right. Rick.
Hello.
Either here number two.
Yeah, so mine started off back in the early days. It was actually a song by Brian May, Driven by You. What first sort of got me into guitar, I heard this solo that he plays in there, and it just sort of took my breath away. And I was a youngster at the time, running around with my tennis racket, playing away air guitar to it. But that was the moment that I sort of thought, this is awesome. What is this kind of thing? And then a few years later, friends of mine at the time were into Guns N' Roses. So Guns N' Roses then came along, and hearing Slash, what he can do with a guitar was that wow moment of, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And, a lot of my sort of influence in terms of not just in playing, but songwriting and things like that, and stage presence and stuff like that. It's the Guns N' Roses, the big show, moving around on stage, not in a wallflower or anything like that, but it's about, playing great music, but then also putting on a fantastic performance at the same time. So that's what, I like to do in terms of when playing on stage. And then after that, it was then into the, Steve Vai's, Paul Gilbert's, Steve Stevens, Bruce Kulick from Kiss, all of those sort of guitar gods that are then taking it to the next level. That was the type of stuff that then influenced me to try and aspire to try and play at that sort of level. But yeah, so very much 80s kind of music. You know, that's what I kind of bring. You know, the 80s rawness and you know, that kind of thing to the party.
When we talk about gods, and I've mentioned it many times, and then what is your opinion about Jason Becker, for example?
I've not really heard too much of his stuff. I've heard, you know, certain bits and bobs, but again, it wasn't, you know, I'm aware of how much he's highly praised up in the community and stuff like that, and how great his work was and stuff like that. But personally, I've not listened to a massive amount of his music.
Yeah, I just not long ago I lost a member of our fan club on ALS, and this was within a year. He passed away. And Jason Becker lives now since the 80s with this terrible disease, and for me, I listened to this music last time, and it was like so haunting. Some you know, to know that this guy, he's composed with his eyes. This is unbelievable. You know. All right, very cool. You named really the greats, you know. And this is what I love. This iconic guitar players like Zakk Wylde. If you hear one lick, you know it's Zakk Wylde. You hear Slash, you know it's Slash. It's the same. And by Slash is the package. Like Zakk Wylde is also a package. It's like you see him, this berserker, you know, like a Viking, like this brutal guy. Unbelievable stage presence, same with Slash.
Yeah,
unbelievable stage presence, you know.
And it's the way as well in the playing as well. They do really well mixing between the super fast stuff, but the melodic stuff. Remember, and that was the thing that always got me when I first got into Guns N' Roses. And Slash's solos, definitely back then in the Guns N' Roses days, was each song had a set solo, memorable solos that
absolutely
fit, rather than just shredding. Which shredding's great, you know what I mean? But rather than just shredding away, actually composing something that suits the song, and that's, you know, for me, was one of the other big influences around what he does.
I think you're right.
Cool.
That's what comes with a lot of modern music, is that a lot of guitar players just play fast because it's cool to play fast, whereas there was nothing thought out. Slash can play fast, so you know Zakk Wylde can, but they played for the moment, they played for the song, they played for how it felt, and
yeah.
You know, I'm not a musician. What do I know? But it was, you know, and it's just two guitarists. Love them.
When I was in the studio last year, my guitar player, he tried to be fast, and I said he's from Indonesia, you know? And I said, stop this fiddling, bring me melodies, play like Matthias Japs from Scorpions in the early 80s. These are solos you can sing, you know, you can remember. Or Richie Sambora, and this was actually an obvious. I want more feeling. Give me the Sambora style, you know, because he has some special style, you know, and I agree. The younger guitarist, that's why the iconics are always named. That is the reason, because they have the Richie Blackmores or Jeff Beck or all these iconic guitar players. They have soul in the guitar. They have soul in the playing. I agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is interesting. I didn't expect this, that we talk about the greatest. Now, so Danny, we heard about the guitar players. We heard all the greats. What is your story? There must be a moment in your life where you realized, okay, I am made for the stage, or what was actually the first taste of music? That's the more interesting question.
It was a tough one, because it's changed throughout the years and throughout the times. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, so you know, I grew up in a time with, you know, yes, there was Guns N' Roses, there was, you know, bands like that around, but I started with like weirdly musical theatre, and I was doing stage shows, you know, when I was at school, and you know, I was kind of pushed to doing it. I wasn't a very confident kid, and I ended up playing the dentist in Little Shop of Horrors. And the song, it's a rock and roll song, isn't it? That he ends up singing, you know, about being a dentist and like to cause pain. And I think that was the first time that I'd actually sung something that wasn't pop, that wasn't, you know, what you sing at school doing music, and was kind of like, I like this. And then, you know, as the years went on, I started looking through my mum's record collection, my granddad's record collection. You know, they were in there. There was Sabbath, there was, you know, Deep Purple, Whitesnake, but then, and Rush, who were my kind of, my first love was listening to was Rush. And then, I mean, that's more progressive, you know.
Was it the music? Or
Yeah.
was it the voice of Geddy Lee? Or was it the Perth?
It was all of it. It was, I think, mesmerizing is a good word to use with Rush, because it was that new kind of, wow, what is this kind of thing? And like I say, I lived in a world where, you know, it was all about pop music and dance music when I was growing up. And, you know, like, you know, Spice Girls and Scooter, and that's what all the people around where I lived listened to. It was all pop.
But you're not. I guess you didn't listen to Spice Girls.
No, I mean, well, don't get me wrong. I've listened to everything throughout my whole life.
Okay.
I still listen to songs because I like them, because I might like the lyrics, I might like the melody, and that's where, you know, when I've never wanted to be pigeonholed. Yes, I'm a metalhead. Yes, I look like a metalhead, but you know, I've liked Elton John's got an incredible voice. Freddie Mercury had an incredible voice. Do you know what I mean? The lyrical genius of Eminem. Do you know what I mean? And the kind of things that, you know, you can look at and go, and that's all about being a frontman. They were performers. They knew how to work a crowd. And, you know, that was, you know, by the by. And then it got to that kind of early kind of 2000s when, you know, what did they call it? New metal became a thing. And, you know, the big new metal bands came through properly, became mainstream, and it became cool to listen to metal. And, you know, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, and Korn, and, you know, they released Issues, Machine Head. And do you know these? Because even Machine Head, he went through his hip hoppy new metal era. And then, you know, Machine Head, they're one that caught my eye early. And I went back and listened to their early stuff, and now they're just insanely good. And you know, that kind of changed my taste towards the heavier side of stuff. And I did get into heavy stuff. I found Slipknot out of this. I found, you know, Disturbed, David Draymond's insane vocals. The fact that the guy can do Down with the Sickness on one hand, and then he's doing Simon and bloody Garfunkel on the other hand. And
I'm wondering if they didn't publish or record Sound of Silence, if this band would become so big, because this was like a monster smash from an old song from the 60s to a smash hit in the metal world.
I think it's all about
because of his voice. This song is the voice, especially when he races.
It gives you chills. Yeah, absolute chills. I mean, the first time I heard it, I was just kind of like, I mean, I've liked Disturbed for a lot of years. You know, The Sickness, obviously. And then, you know, when I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. 10,000 Fists album came out, insanely good album. And then to hear him doing that, and you kind of just like, wow. And I think, and that's why I became me more, that I stopped caring about, do I have to be metal? Do you know, do I have to be constantly, you know, metal? I'd just be yourself, use your voice to do what you want it to do. And that's where I am now. And I think it's all a confidence thing that with Circle and with the guys now, the way we do things, I finally got my confidence, and I don't give a shit what other people think anymore. I'm singing the songs that I want to sing the way I want to sing them. And, you know, touch wood, it seems to be working so far.
And you know what? It sounds great.
Well, that, you know, thank you very much. It's kind of, you know, that's all I wanted to hear.
Absolutely. I would say we have another song, new song, and we listen first. The song is Time Waits for No One. But that is absolutely truth. So here's Time Waits for No One. Time waits for no one. So, what is the backstory to this great song?
Who wrote this one?
Mr. Wordsworth.
Pointing doesn't help, right?
So what he meant to do was go up because he's above you in this one.
Yeah.
Well, it started out with the main riff. That's all it started out with. The repetitive riff that goes through 90% of the song. Then it was just built. It was built just to be as in your face as possible for us. Really,
is this always the way how you compose songs? Somebody has a riff and it brings to the band, or sometimes starts with a chorus, or how
it's a riff, a chorus. Sometimes Rick will write the entire thing and tell us what to play.
It's generally a case of me and Andy coming up with the ideas in terms of the basis of the songs. And then what we might do is then put a demo together and send it to the other guys to sort of say, what do you think? And, you know, I mean, we like we said, we've got the EP that we've done, recorded, ready to come out. We've probably got another 15 songs ready at a sort of early grassroots stage.
Okay.
When we do an album kind of thing, we just need to flesh them out and sort of choose which ones we're going to do. But the idea is, it's one of those where throughout the years of songwriting and stuff like that, anything can become a great song. I mean, you can play something very simplistic in terms of musically, and then Dan can put some absolute awesome vocals over it, and you just go, wow, you know what I mean? This is an absolute killer of a song. So the idea is just to chuck them out there. So in terms of when me and Andy are writing, we'll just write. And even if we think, it's all right of a song, let's put something together anyway. And once we start, you know, putting a demo together, it changes and can sound like something. And then we take it to a rehearsal. And then, man, Scott then puts his drums to it, which transforms the song straight away. Because when we're creating demos, I'll use Logic. So I'll just use Logic drums and stuff like that, which, you know, are great for chucking demos together. But that compared to a proper drummer, and Scott, his attention to detail when it comes to writing his drum parts, song, you know, he's a pain in the ass sometimes, because he's literally like, no, I've done that bit before, I don't want to do it again in this song, or I've done that here, no, I need to do something else, I need to do that there. And, you know, he'll literally, you know, change what he's doing to create the parts that suit the song. So he'll then do all of that, and then what will then happen, then Dan will then chuck his vocals in on top. And like I say, the melodies that this guy comes up with are phenomenal. And we, you know, we wrote a new song the other week, which you know, will come out later. But it was just a simple sort of demo put together, and then Dan's vocal. We were in the rehearsal room, and it was just like, have you just come up with that now, or have you pre-written that? And it's like, no, I've just literally come up with it. I've just come up with words, and it was just, it's magic. You know what I mean? So the creation of the songs, you know, they start off as ideas, but then as a band, we then flourish them out, and that's what does our unique sort of sound in terms of what we've got. It's not just the 80s kid doing some stuff, or the grunge guy, or the, you know, new age metal dude. It's the combination of that stuff put together, which I think gives us something that's kind of unique. And
sometimes the simple songs are the best songs.
Agreed completely. What I'd say is,
for example, TNT, AC/DC. How simple this song is, but it's a classic because there's everything in the right position. Yeah. And that's what I love on love with AC/DC. What is the backstory? No time. Time waits for no one.
Time waits for no one. I mean, the thing is, with all of our songs, they're organic. I think that's the biggest word, is organic. I write vocals, like Rick says, I'm probably like the biggest thing that I can do. I can pull a melody from a riff, like it's almost instantly, isn't it? I can figure it out. And I've always been a very much words come later. So I mean, I write lyrics from my personal feelings, the way the world is, you know, how I see things in the world. And Time Waits is very much this is feelings inside my head. This is, you know, this is the way that I'm seeing it. And that's the kind of, once I've got the melody, I'm not very good at speaking the English language, but I'm good at writing it. So, you know, and I can work the lyric sets in, but nothing's ever pushed or forced, and it just what felt right. And, you know, the song's quite aggressive. It's, you know, I think aggressive is the right word. It's you know, it's very in your face, and yeah, and it's just the topic of mental health and, you know, what's inside your head. It just kind of felt right, and it worked. And you know, we think it's kick-ass, and, you know, I'm proud as hell to have written it. And that's, you know, that's where it goes. But with any song that we write, I think, like what Rick's saying, how they all come together, we don't push things because we think we should, or that sounds cool, or, you know, that we've backburnered riffs because we like the riff, but there's nothing coming.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got all of us in a room together, and you can tell if it's going to work straight away, because we'll all start to feel something in it straight away and think, let's do this, let's try this, let's try that, let's try this. And, you know, it's probably a completely different song from when the riff was brought in. And I'd like to chop and change things up and say, let's try that there and this there, and, you know, move it all around. But it works. And, you know, and time waits. And to be honest, every song on the new EP were done in pretty much the same way. I think there was literally one track that you wrote, I think, Andy, that I got a message saying, "I am precious about the title. That is the title."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was it.
This was the perfect cue now, because what I play now, it's a medley from the EP. From the EP, Guilty Till Proven Innocence. And here we go. So this was the EP, great sound, Guilty Till Proven Innocence. Some words to the rest of the songs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? I think is the best way to say it. It's, you know, it's a lot of it's personal to me, lyric-wise. You know, especially the track's Broken, very much is. I mean, I wrote that song about 15 years ago, didn't I? And it's completely different to before we went into the studio. Sorry about that, boys. I changed it literally studio day. And, you know, everything's on kind of topic of what's going on in the world today. Decay is about the state of the world that we live in, because let's be honest, it's pretty screwed, isn't it? And, you know, and so on and so forth.
I agree.
And it's, yeah, I'm proud as hell to have been part of it. You know, these boys did one hell of a job. Go on, you can smile, Rick. Go on.
I like the smile too. Yeah, I agree.
you know, we're just, you know, it's due for release March 14th. It'll be on all platforms. You can buy it, you can stream it.
This will be aired in April, so
it's already out. So yeah, you know, March 14th release, and we're just hoping that, you know, everybody loves it as much as we do, and as, you know, that's all we can ask for, really. You know, even though, you know, we might look like, you know, scary metalheads, we have feelings too, man. And you know, we just hope everybody digs it as much as us, and we can't wait to get out on the road and start playing some kick-ass shows.
Now we have to talk about, I played it right, you know, in the beginning. It's the song Heart-Shaped Lies. That's a cool title. So, but what is the backstory to this before I play it again?
I think musically, it literally just, it's the first song we wrote together as a band. So it's the first thing. I think I'd come up with a riff in terms of with it, and then again, me and Andy thrashed it out, put a demo together, and then played it with the guys, and we sort of wrote it from there. But yeah, it was the first sort of time our musical style sort of came together, you know, which we then thought it was fitting for that then to be, you know, our debut single, in terms of to come out as well. You know, before then doing the EP, but yeah, that's musically, and then I'm sure Dan will have some around the vocals.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with the title of it. It's probably the first time I've given it a title before I've written the song. And what you just said, it came in my head when I was listening to it, and I was just like, that is a really cool title for a song. You know, Heart-Shaped Lies is a fantastic title for a song. And you know, and I rolled with it, and I was able to, you know, I kind of came up with a lyric set that, you know, again, it's a personal one, but make it feel impersonal. And it was the first time that we'd kind of, when we all sat back and listened to it, we actually thought, you know what, we like this. There's something here. There's something here, because we weren't sure at that point if we were going to do this or not, were we? So, you know, it was a bit of a side project for everybody at that point, and it was
side to the main project. That's just cool,
yeah.
Huh?
We were all in we were all doing other things at the time, weren't we? So, you know, it was kind of a, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? And I think, to be honest, the day we came out of the studio, we had that song, is the day that we all kind of said, yeah, we're doing this. And,
cool.
And that was that.
Yeah.
Now we take a picture. We have a good internet. We need a picture for everybody. Give me a smile, whatever you want to do. All right, cool. Guys, what is in the pipeline? So with the last question, the EP comes out. Are you playing live?
The EP's out already, and then hopefully it's then decision time whether we do a full 10-track album or we do another EP or what. Dependent, we want to have as many songs ready at a point where we are happy to record them as possible, and then we decide from there if we do 6 and then another EP, so it'd be 2 EPs, or we do a full 10-track album and have 2 spare, or what.
We're very keen about quality. We don't want no filler. So if we're writing songs,
only killer. The old God.
Yeah,
absolutely.
if we've got 6 killer songs and 4 fillers, it'll be an EP. You know what I mean? If we go, we've got 15 great songs to choose from, then
yes,
you know what I mean. That's what the case will be. But
I am sure there's more coming. You can hear the quality already, 100%.
And this is a year from start to now. You know, I mean, with that first record that's come out, and the things we're only going to get better. And I'm not being big-headed saying that we are. We're gelling more as a band now. It's the organic process is getting even easier to just kind of go, let's play this. I mean, we want to play. We've got some shows booked in, haven't we, boys? But yeah, it's been tough until now, because even though we're all from projects that people know, and people know us from previous projects, we're still a new name. And, you know, So we kind of we until the EP came out, it was hard for us to kind of go put us on your show because, you know, this is what we do. With only one track, it was difficult, but you know, so we're hoping we're going to have a load more shows come into the pipeline now onto the back of that, and you know, we'll go play anywhere.
I'm sure there's more coming.
Oh yeah,
guys, thank you so much for the interview.
Not a problem.
I love the sound. You have a new fan.
You very much. Hey.
Oh, very good.
And
cheers,
all the best. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Metalheads Forever Rockcast show is proud to present female-fronted heavy metal from Sao Paulo, Brazil, Blades of Steel. And in the double feature interview, heavy rock from France, Voodoo Angel. Don't miss the interviews with this fantastic bands. Metalheads Forever Rockcast show salutes you.
Diese Show wurde euch präsentiert von Nugent Artworks. And don't forget, like, subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching. We salute you.